G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Aussie Starcraft, where we are super excited to be bringing you a continuation in this series. It's been an amazing Terran vs Protoss series thus far, and particularly excited to be casting the rest of it. I know things have been a little bit slower on the channel of recent days, and now the reason for that was I had an exam, a rather large exam that I finished yesterday, so now that the exam's all done, kicking back with some pizza, ready to cast some StarCraft 2. Hope you guys have buckled up and are ready for some amazing Terran vs Protoss action, because in the top right hand corner of Yeonsu, it's going to be CJ enters herO, the man with the plan and the nerd balling shoes. He's shown us some amazing games thus far in IEM. We've seen him come back from some quite amazing situations, end up winning some incredible games. We've seen flawless macro throughout the tournament, micro even under the heaviest of pressure. Just herO showing us game after game of amazing Protoss playing, just showing us frankly how he managed to win 2 IEM tournaments to bring himself to this position here in the IEM World Championships as his opponent, and one of the great Terran players of our time. It's going to be CM Storm Polt. Now I think if you watch any StarCraft at all, you'll be familiar with Polt. He's been amazingly successful, particularly in the American scene last year, winning WCS America back-to-back 2 seasons in a row, and just amazing Terran play. Very consistent. If you're looking for a Terran player who mixes up his build every single game, then Polt's probably not the player to watch. If you want to see a player that has phenomenal macro and amazing micros, he picks you apart systematically with multi-pronged drops and just insane multitasking, then Polt is the player to watch and model your play off. So Polt here going to be going for his conventional Reaper opening. Loves to get that first Reaper out, get a bit of a scout off, and see what his opponent's up to, particularly when your opponent is herO, who has so many sneaky and devious tricks. So we have Cybercore and a Gateway here. You'll notice how herO's walling off this portion of his base. Makes it very difficult for a Reaper to get into scout here. You can drop tech here later on, and it forces the Terran player to drop a scan, as it's so difficult to get a Reaper in later on in the game. You can block it off with a Stalker and a Mothership Core and just make it very difficult to scout. Forcing that scan does force the Terran player to waste a potential Mule, which can generally get you at about 200-300 resources, and as we can see from herO's setup, you may even scan this location only to find that he's actually tucked that tech away in the bottom right hand corner. So Nexus coming down from herO here. Polt going to use that as a signal to drop his own command center on the low ground. Knows that behind this early Reaper aggression he can safely expand, get that command center up and running. The Reaper going to come in for a scout now. We can see the Mothership Core's already in position, so unlikely that this Reaper will do a lot of damage. Normally these Reapers just scouting information is what they manage to obtain. Occasionally they will get a probe kill, but at this level of play the control tends to be pretty good from these players. So this Reaper from Polt going to be scouting around. Going to pluck away at this worker. The Mothership Core will be able to drive him away, unable to do any hull damage to that probe. Over in Polt's base, you can see a second barracks came up now. Now, usually there is a third barracks. Indeed, here it is at the bottom of the screen. So Polt, 3 barracks, as is standard for him. You can imagine he'll throw down a tech lab, possibly 2. We'll grab his stim and combat shield upgrade very quickly. Polt loves to have those upgrades nice and early, get aggressive with his first couple of medevacs, and just be on the front foot from day dot onwards. So imagine that will be a tech lab. We'll see what's added on to barracks number 3. We can see that the orbital command's coming up now at the expansion, and Polt's going to be able to power ahead on a 2-base economy here. We can see herO actively chrono boosting those probes out. We can see that herO has actually managed to get to quite a staggering 29 probes, just being chrono boosting both Nexi non-stop, and indeed we actually see the Twilight Council tucked away behind the mineral line that we discussed earlier. The Reaper trying to make its way in here, but this blink deck from herO is going to catch Polt by surprise. Going to be unable to scout. It's actually herO throwing down a few gateways behind us. I wouldn't be surprised to see Polt throw down a scan. If the Reaper fails to get up this ledge here, I imagine we will see a scan go down, or Polt will just react expecting it to be precisely what it is. But this Reaper actually making his way through. The Stalker, dying there in the mineral line. If we check Polt's vision, he can in fact see the Twilight Council and the Gateway. Unlikely that he managed to click on the Gateway there, but very likely that he can ascertain precisely what's going on. Marauder production starting now. Polt knows that he is going to be facing that fairly nasty Blinkstalker all-in. So we have herO going up to 3-6 Gateway. So fairly committed to this all-in. We have Polt moving quickly to try and pluck off any proxy piles. That's very important. It means that herO can't warp in reinforcements on the front line. These 3 Stalkers would love to actually do some damage here, but the number of Marines and Marauders already in play for Polt and taking quite an active position up on that watchtower there. I love this move from Polt. It's saying you can try this Blinkstalker aggression, but you're going to need a pylon, and I'm not going to let you have it anywhere near this side of my base. So herO going to be moving around the backside of his base. Blink almost finished, so as soon as this does complete, herO will be able to start warping in the Stalkers and potentially can even blink up into the main. Nice control from herO though, managing to kill a Marine, damage to others, and not actually lose any Stalkers. So nice little engagement there. Polt is going to be able to tear through this pile though. How many units will he use for the pleasure? Already lost 2 Marines. Going to pick up a Stalker there as well, but lose a Stalker and trade it for a Marauder. So not bad overall trades for either of these players. Polt throwing down quite a few bunkers now. We have no bunkers in the main, though it looks like this SCV will be committing to build one of those momentarily. We have the probe establishing another pylon, and bunkers full of Marines and Marauders at the front to try and ward off this Blinkstalker play. We've got no actual follow-up from herO here. He seems very committed to this Blinkstalker play. Hasn't actually thrown down a Robo or a Templar Archives. Normally you'll see a Protoss player transition out of this in the next minute or two if it doesn't succeed in doing damage, and with every passing second it becomes that little bit less likely that it will do any requisite damage. Going to try and move in here to snipe a bunker, but we have 2 Stalkers taking some damage. Actually managing to grab that bunker here. SCV's being pulled off to repair the second, and a Stalker going down in exchange. So fairly even trades here. More and more Stalkers coming in. Mothership Core, it appears not actually here. It's probably picked off by that earlier force. Actually have herO cleverly using that Blink Micro, trading it for a few Stalkers. Check out the units tab. Mothership Core is actually being rebuilt back at home, so these units unable to blink up into the main just yet. But herO not relenting or continuing to force Polt to pull these SCVs off. SCVs have to stay in repair, so not as ideal as Polt would perhaps like. Would love to have those SCVs mining away, losing about 40 minerals a minute for each of the SCVs in position there. Stalker's able to do a little bit of damage before they themselves blink out of the way, so trying to trade that shield for SCVs, and doing an alright job of it. It's fairly even between our players. Terran player having lost just a bit more than our Protoss. Those Stalkers are very expensive. Every miss micro is going to cost you 125 minerals and 50 gas. We have Zealot Charge coming up now in the Twilight Council, along with +1/+1. The Terran upgrade's a little bit behind. +1 weapons is on the way, but we find herO quite consistently chrono boosting out these upgrades. He manages to get his 2-2 out significantly ahead of his Terran opponent, so that tends to be a big factor in his games at a time when the Terran player generally pulls ahead based on the medevacs. We find herO still able to go fairly comfortably toe to toe with the Bioforce, which is not something you expect on straight gateway tech. We do have the Templar Archives coming down behind us, so we will have herO deciding to go for a bit of Storm, and that will be essential, particularly as the Terran 2-2 finishes up. You really will find it next to impossible. 2-2 with the medevacs against straight gateway units. You're going to lose those units all day long. In fact, we have herO here wanting to shut off access to this third base, which is just pull up. Polt flying his factory over. I thought momentarily that might have been his third CC. The third CC actually heading out to the right hand expansion, so not taking his forward expansion towards his opponents. This is quite a risky choice of expansion. It ends up very vulnerable from many directions. Have Polt here gradually working down the rocks as a second force here, and this is what you have to be so careful for with Polt. If you take your eyes off him for a moment, these forces will be picked up into the medevacs and chrono boost in the main base. So we're going to be poking up here to see what's going on. Plenty of zealots and sentries there ready to deter that attack. But Polt, it's when he's at his most dangerous. He has medevacs in position, more than capable of sniping buildings and or units that stray. As you can see, exploiting the high ground, low ground. As soon as herO moves into position, he just makes a run straight at the natural expansion. Target acquired. The expansion just goes down phenomenally quickly. herO's army out of position. Going to blink in and clean up these Marines and Marauders. That flying medevac also picked off, which is great for herO, but unfortunately losing this Nexus is going to delay him substantially, and he will need to counterattack here to do the requisite damage to Polt. Polt's own third base economy is established here. 4 mules going to be substantially supplementing that income. We can see 2,300 resources to 1,300. That's a substantial advantage for Polt here in Game 3 of this best of 5 series. Though Polt, he knows how to play Terran vs Protoss at a time when so many Terran players just are really struggling to do well in this matchup. Terran players around the world just really having a difficult time against late game Protoss. Polt showing us how it only delays the game by consistently sniping his opponent's Nexus. Uses his Marines and Marauders very early on to just put the Protoss player on the back foot as much as possible, delay things like those the Colossus and High Templar death ball that you see in late game Protoss versus Terran. So Polt, on both sides of this force here, even a Widow Mine here being moved back into position, it's going to be off cooldown momentarily. You have these armies just milling around. Nice storm there, but unfortunately for herO, Polt not going to be baited into that. Have the Widow Mines off cooldown now, so it's going to be able to pick off another unit. This Stalker's Flesh all blinking on top of that. Poor Stalker just blasted into pieces. Unluckiest blink ever for a Stalker. So poor fellow had no idea what he was electing to sit on, like a poor teacher that goes to sit down only to find the whoopee cushions being tossed on their chair during the break. I imagine that was somewhat akin to what that poor Stalker felt as he decided to park it right there on the Widow Mine. Poor Zealot's trying to kite back and forth, and unfortunately it is a Zealot's life to be blasted apart by Marauder Slow. herO here trying to make something of this aggression. Unfortunately his supply 123 to 148, and here's where we're seeing the trail through of herO losing that expansion. His macro was interrupted, his lack of income there. Nice big storm on the Marauders and SCVs. Do quite a lot of damage. Polt actually pulling his SCVs. They will evaporate to those Archons. Archons doing a lot of damage here. Feedback actually going to be taking a lot of these medevacs out of his condition, but Polt's army just continuing to stream down here, picking off the High Templars from the back. Several Marauders there. Going to be able to snipe that. One High Templar actually making away with phenomenally low amount of HP, and it looks like herO has finally succeeded in getting this third base lifted off, which is going to give him a lot of traction here to push up the ramp. Polt's army numbers have finally dropped for the first time in the last couple of minutes. herO actually taking a supply advantage here, 140 to 115 as Polt's production starts to struggle to keep up with the warp gate. We do have a phenomenal amount of barracks here. We have 8 barracks just going flat out, but this Protoss army is managing to barrel up the hill. An insane amount of medevacs from Polt here, unfortunately unable to heal well whilst being feedbacked. And looks like Polt may actually hold here, going to drop his third base back down, start mining once more. And herO unfortunately going to run the Archon back into the Widow Mine. And nice snipe there from Polt to actually clean up the remainder of its health. Would have been a shame to let a 10 health Archon wander all the way back to Ire. But nice attention from Polt there to pick up the fact that it was there and ready to be sniped. Moved out and took advantage of it very quickly. We see the +3 Terran weapons on the way, +2 armor almost finished up now, so 3-3 will be on the way for our Terran player. We see that herO's upgrades have slowed a little bit. For Polt to actually catch up without Chrono Boost, we can see that that herO actually did let those slip just a little bit during those engagements. Was fairly busy trying to get back in the game, trying to delay Polt's economy as much as possible. Going to be resuming Chrono Boost on them, so we can see that there will be a window of opportunity between the 3-3 of herO and the 3-3 of Polt actually being finished up. Polt out on the map again with his medevacs. A fairly large drop here, 3 medevacs and a substantial group of Marines and Marauders ready to move out. There's so ready to snipe a Nexus. Good thing this army is in position. They will be able to hold it. Plenty of full health High Templars there are going to make it way too dangerous for those units to actually sit and stay. And we see Polt force actually unload on the high ground. Couldn't actually scoop up all his units, but the body of his force making a move on the third base of herO. Nice storms though from herO. I'm gonna force most of this battle. We see that army rather decimated by the combination of Storm and Zealot. The cannon's going to prevent this this drop from actually doing a whole lot of damage. Polt going to load up with his other forces and move on the new 4th base of herO. Army out of position, continuing to move towards the 3rd base. Unfortunately, Polt cannot unload on top of those medevacs, and we do actually have some photon cannons going down. So herO doing a great job of securing these bases, forcing Polt back. The supply is still in Polt's favour. We do have Colossi starting to hit the field. One on the way, one on the field, one on the way, and extended thermal lance. So herO going to be significantly buffing his army, and a little bit of a zealot run by, going to meet fairly substantial resistance in the form of these Marauders. 3-3 just finishing up now for herO, just in time for the second Colossus, which will pop out in the next 10 or 15 seconds. Unfortunately for herO, unfortunately for Polt, he doesn't have a whole lot in the way of Vikings to deal with these Colossi. 1 or 2 Colossus possible to deal with them with ground units, but many more than that, and you're just going to take a phenomenal amount of damage as you try and engage the Protoss. If you try and engage to kill the Colossus, the Storm will just wreck your day, and if you continue to try and kite back and forward, the Colossus just can consistently do damage, much like it is here. I'd love to stim forward and pick it off. The Marauder slow is actually going to slow it down. It looks like Polt will actually pick off the Colossus, so great moves from Polt there, keeping those Colossus count quite low. Actually going to get this Nexus here too, as Protoss army is not going to be able to make it here in time. And we have Polt lifting up to get almost the entirety of that force away. Last few Marines and Marauders going to get picked off there, but Polt with a second just massive drop here. You occasionally see medevac drops with 1 or 2 medevacs, but this style of 1 or 2 just doom drops at a time from Polt is almost unheard of. You see singular drops, but just not what we're seeing today. You can see the army's out of position. He's just going to go for it, avoiding the line of sight these probes have. Going to be able to snipe the Nexus and or the probes. But herO deciding he's had enough. He's in it to win it. Going to base race here. He knows that Polt only has this 3rd base. No 4th base has been established yet. We have an orbital command on its way. Actually using the natural. That's how low on resources Polt is currently in this game. 0 resources in the bank, and none on their way anytime soon. His Marines and Marauders trying to make the best of a bad thing, but 2 unfortunate Marauders gonna meet a probe-driven death there on the cliff. So diced apart by the probes. Not every day that you see Marauders dying to probes. Probably a little bit embarrassing to talk about. We even see that Polt pulled his SCVs here, so doesn't intend to mine with them anytime soon. Though unfortunately, probably would have liked to get a little bit more done with those extra SCVs to buffer. herO here going to be able to engage in counterattacks. 197 supply to 163. Quite scary for Polt. Trying to slow this down is going to be very difficult. As we can see, there's only 4 Vikings on the field, and a few Marines and Marauders. This is just too much Protoss here to try and hold on with the amount of units that Polt actually has in play. Trying to move this command center out to that 3rd base, but it's going to get sniped by the Stalkers very quickly. Colossus just going to move up this ramp. I think we may see herO take his 2nd game of series. Nice storms on top of that fire, and this may be it from Polt. The Stalker's able to blink forward and take out most of these medevacs, and the Colossus just able to do enough DPS. We can see that Polt dropped down to 84 supply, which is substantially less than herO at this point. Polt going to try and engage with this army, but some nice defensive storms from herO seem to be enough to force our noble Terran back. And I think we'll see herO take a 2-1 lead over Polt in this series. So hope you guys have been enjoying it. It has been one of the great Terran vs Protoss series that we've cast of recent times. So I hope you're enjoying it. I certainly am. I love this matchup. I love it almost as much as I loved Zerg vs Terran last year in the WCS. So it has shown us some great games. Hope you're enjoying it. We have more games to come after this. We'll see if herO can seal it out 3-1, or whether Polt will be able to even up the series in Game 4. So hang on to your seatbelts, guys, and we'll see you all in Game 4. This is Aussie StarCraft. Catch you in the next cast.